Welcome to A Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm Sarah Massoni from Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center, where I've helped countless dreamers launch their new food products. It's the science of taking a food delight from the kitchen to mass manufacturing and still keeping its great taste. That's what I do. I've been called the woman with the $1 million palate, although I haven't tried to cash that check yet. Listen in weekly for real-life stories.
I'm Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce and author of Preservation Pantry, modern canning from root to top and stem to core. I love inspiring business owners to get started on their journey, encourage folks to be part of their local community, and I'm excited to help business owners tell their stories. Hello and welcome to the Meaningful Marketplace. We are here weekly to discuss the journeys of food entrepreneurs. We are glad you've joined us today as we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. This is Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce. Sarah Massoni is on the road, so it will just be me and my co-host today. We finished up our stories about Oregon this last week, and we are moving on to Colorado. So we've gone full circle back to Colorado through our 6-state region. I'm super excited to reconnect with our co-hosts. I'm excited to meet all our new Colorado friends, and we've been partnering with the Regional Food Business Center to bring you these guests from the 6-state region. This time around, we're back in Colorado. We have our co-host back, Mike Gabel from the Food Innovation Center at Colorado State University SPUR program. Thank you, Mike, for coming back and being our co-host.
I am so excited to be back, Sarah Marshall. This is fantastic for me. It's fantastic to meet with wonderful people all around the state of Colorado, and it's great to be back on the Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm so stoked that I didn't know if you were going to come back, but my fingers were crossed. So I'm glad that you're here with me. Just in case our listeners didn't listen last time around that you were a co-host, can you describe what it is that you do at the Food Innovation Center at Colorado State and what kind of programs you run there?
Oh, absolutely. We are really set up to support food entrepreneurs of all shapes and sizes. We go all the way from helping someone get grandma's recipe into the supermarket, all the way up to supporting large multinational CPGs. Have a team of food scientists that do a lot of wonderful things, helping people with shelf life studies or nutrition facts panels, product development, taste testing. And then we have a couple different big processing spaces. We just got our dairy lab almost up and running. We had an event, actually, it was pretty fun, Sarah. I think you'd enjoy this. We did a big donor event where you can make your own pint of ice cream. So we just had the mix there. And so we had a bunch of different mix-ins and some caramel and some hot fudge and different things like that. You could pack it and then we blast froze it and they could take it home to eat that night.
That sounds so fun. I wish I was there. And you know who would have really dug it is Sarah Massoni because she's our ice cream queen. But that sounds awesome.
So yeah, lots of fun changes happening around here. We've hired a couple more people, and it's just a lot of great things. SPUR is a really special place just because we get to interact with a lot of different audiences, especially K through 12 audiences. And one of the cool things I'll share with you is that in the fall, they're actually, most of the time, it's not a college campus by any means. This fall, they're introducing what's called SPUR Start. So if you are a Denver resident and you were looking to go into CSU for your freshman year, they are actually having classes. Your freshman year can be done at SPUR, so in Denver. So you live at home. You don't have to pay for the dorms. You don't have to pay for the meal plan or whatever else. And you start and you spend your freshman year at SPUR. And so it's going to be awesome. We'll have 80 freshmen coming in the fall semester.
Oh, that is so awesome. What a cool program.
So we will see. I'll let you know more about it when we speak, probably in a year when we come back to co-host.
I feel like every time that I hear about where you are, it sounds more and more magical.
Absolutely.
Well, Mike, I want to say that the guests that you brought on last time, I've still stayed connected to and followed around and seen at food shows. And it's just so great to see their journey and see them progress over this last year. So I'm excited to have that happen this time around too. So thanks for bringing us the last round of guests and thanks for bringing us new ones this time. I'm excited to meet all of them.
Yeah, it's been fun to see them progress and grow. I think Farnoosh was telling me about she's getting a co-packer in Los Angeles and just getting lots of orders in from various supermarkets across the U.S. It's been great.
Yeah, that's so fun. I got to meet, so Farnoosh is from Sun Ghee, and I got to meet her at the food show as well this last time around. So that was so cool and try her products. That was really cool. And we would like to encourage you to connect with your state by signing up for the Regional Food Business Center newsletter. It's a breeze to sign up. You can go to Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center.com, hit connect with us, and choose the button to receive newsletters. And we want to thank our sponsor for supporting the Meaningful Marketplace. Thank you for helping us spread the word about small business owners and entrepreneurs. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. The Northwest and Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center is the proud sponsor of the Meaningful Marketplace podcast, giving a voice to food from across the 6-state region of Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. The Food Business Center supports Northwest and Rocky Mountain food industry makers as part of the USDA's National Network of Food Business Centers, supporting a more resilient, diverse, and competitive food system as a go-to source for small and mid-tier food and farm businesses with a focus on underserved communities, providing education in the form of technical knowledge, business programs, and industry news. We sponsor trade shows, meetups, and conferences to connect growers, producers, retailers, distributors, and processors, all to stimulate business and raise the standards of our storied food industry. Join us as we travel through the 6-state region, learning more about food makers, food hubs, and food systems. Visit the website at Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Businesses.com to get connected. And I have the pleasure of bringing on our guests today. I would like to bring on Jenn and Joe Wheeling of James Ranch. They are ranchers in Durango, Colorado. Welcome, you two. Thanks for being on the show today.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
We always like to encourage people to connect through social media and online. So if people want to do that, they can find James Ranch on Instagram and follow along on the James Ranch journey if you would like. We would like to tell your particular story about what it is that you do at James Ranch and how you got into ranching. Did you guys start ranching together, or do you have separate ranching journeys?
We have two separate journeys. I grew up on a ranch on the Montana-North Dakota border. So I grew up ranching and went to CSU and got a degree in animal science, and then took a significant detour, but came back. And Jenn and I met at CSU and were married shortly after we graduated.
And I come from this ranch. The James Ranch is where I grew up. So having Joe come back and having us be a part of this is really good because he brought a different perspective to ranching than what I grew up with. So it has all worked out just fine.
Let's talk about what it is that you ranch or that you grow. I mean, I know we talk to a lot of farmers, so we talk about growing, but I guess you're growing cattle, right? Is there a particular kind of cattle that you have at the farm?
So we have Angus and Red Angus, as well as some half Wagyus. And what we do is each year we process about 200 head of steers. We sell roughly 100,000 pounds of beef off of the ranch, and primarily by people coming to the ranch. So over 85% of our beef is picked up right here on the ranch or consumed on the ranch. So we're about as local as you can get to Durango.
That's so cool. Mike, have you ever been to Durango or been to James Ranch?
You know, I have an ex-brother-in-law. It's not a great connection. And so, and he was a fantastic first husband for my sister. And so we liked him a lot. And so we were down there for his wedding when I was probably about 14. So I don't remember much of it. So that's my only connection there. I think you have some connections, right, Sarah Marshall, to Durango?
Yeah. It's I don't even think I've ever said this, even the last time around that we were on the Colorado ride together. But I did live in Durango for a very short amount of time, about 6 months. I grew up in Mount Hood area of Oregon, which is the forest, and my dad worked for the Forest Service. And I had heard that Durango was kind of similar to that area. And I moved there when I was in my early 20s for a little while. I had a friend who lived there who was a tattoo artist and was like, come out here, come live here. And I did. And I loved it. It is beautiful. It is very much like Oregon. I feel like the landscape is similar. I had a hard time finding a job is really why I didn't stay. I mean, I hadn't finished college or anything. I ended up moving back to Portland and finishing school, and that was, where my journey led me. But I loved living in Colorado. I thought it was a really wonderful place to be. I thought Durango was very cool. I lived out, and you guys will know where this is, but I lived out by the Durango Hot Springs off of Highway 550.
Just down the street.
Oh, well, it was very cool to live by there. I think it's different now. I think it's fancier now. I mean, this
Very
was
fancy.
this was a long time ago when I lived there, and you bought a little like coupon pack that you could use. It's now I think it's called a spa, and when I was there, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. Now it takes a portion of your paycheck.
Yeah. Different times for sure.
Right.
But I really liked living there. Have you guys been in the Durango area for a long time? So I know that you grew up there, but you've been living there at the ranch for quite some time now, right?
So my parents came here in 1961 and bought the ranch with the help of my grandfather. And so I grew up here. And then Joe and I, after college, got married, did our thing. It came time to raise children. And it was like, cannot do that in the city. So we moved back in 97. Joe was still on the corporate track. So I was here, started an organic farm on the ranch and grew all the vegetables and that you can grow at 6,600 feet in a 90-day growing season. And then basically when Joe retired from the corporate gig in 2009, my parents had started the beef business in its present iteration and had kind of reached a point where they needed more, inputs and creativity and just some freshness to it. And so they came to Joe and I because Joe's experience in North Dakota, Montana was all about production and making it happen. And as it turned out, we ended up partnering with my parents to further the beef business. So that's been, I think, 15 years ago we partnered with them.
Yep.
Yeah. So then we ended up buying out my dad. My mom passed in 2020, and we bought my dad out, and we've been the ones for the last 5 years.
That's a great story, Joe and Jen. So I noticed on your website to just be called a ranch is not enough because you have so many different facets of the ranch, right? You have cheese production and garden and hospitality, lodging and a grill and educational things. Can you expand about kind of all the different offerings that you have there?
Well, we're definitely what you'd call a stacked enterprise. And it's our way for different siblings of Jen's siblings and their spouses to come back. And now the third generation as well. We knew that for everyone to come back, you needed to have some opportunities, and everyone owns their own business. That really gives us both freedom, and yet at the same time, we collaborate and work together with our respective businesses.
And you mentioned that you sell your beef there at the ranch, and so you have the marketplaces there. After you harvest and pack it, it's sold frozen, right, from the farm. Is it sold like in coolers at the marketplace?
So we have a market that we built. We've been marketing direct to the customer, since
2000.
Yeah,
I
roughly
think,
around.
Farmers Market was our first, and then we had a little tiny, little farm stand. We called it. It was an enclosed carport. It was very humble.
So that was in upright freezers and coolers and different things. But we built a new building. It's a sizable building, and so we have a full equivalent of if you go to the grocery store and you see a wall of freezers, we have all reach-in freezers. So we're able to have all of our SKUs there, and we stock it, every day. And we're open in the summer, fall, 7 days a week, in the winter and spring, 5 days a week. So that's where we, sell a significant portion of our product. That in combination with a grill, and the grill is a quick service restaurant that primarily does fancy grass fed and finished burgers.
But it's only our meat.
Oh, that's great.
When it comes to the beef, I think they have to buy bacon someplace else because people eat so much bacon. But and features my brother's cheese solely, and then our beef.
That's very cool.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing back to this market, we also support over 50 other farms and ranches through the market. So when it comes to, veggies or lamb or pork or different things, we have other farms and ranches that are featured there. And so it feels good to be also part of this community's food hub.
That's fantastic. Are they all mostly Durango farms that you're supporting in the market?
Mostly, I think we do go, in the fall, we go up to Paonia and get peaches and from organic places. And then
San Luis Valley,
we get potatoes from there and different ones. I think the farthest we reach is we support a local man who has a fishing boat, and he brings us salmon from Alaska that he and brings flash freezes and brings down. So that's pretty cool because, So, I mean, his product is from Alaska, but he's from here. So, yeah.
That's very cool. And if people want to come visit the marketplace and support you, are there specific hours that they should come, and what's the address they come to?
Okay, so the address is 33846 Highway 550 in Durango. So it's about 10 miles north of Durango. And then winter hours are Wednesday through Sunday from 10 to 6. And then summer hours start Memorial Day weekend, and that is 9 to 7.
Yeah, 9 to 7 for the market. The grill is until close.
Until 8:30, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And then, but that's 7 days a week. So Memorial Day to the middle of October, I think.
Mid-October.
You said you're doing the sales to the market, but also through the grill. And you initially started out at farmers markets. Are you still doing farmers markets?
So when we built this big building in 2019, fall, we opened on Labor Day of 2019, and we all know what happened in March of 2020. And we found ourselves, the farmers market, we had done that for 20 years at that point. And when COVID hit and we had so much demand from our local community because we were deemed an essential business, and unbeknownst to us, the grill was the only restaurant in the town of Durango that had outdoor seating already factored in. And so we became like the place to come, and lots of people found us that way. And it just, all of a sudden, we just looked at each other and said, we don't have to do the farmer's market anymore because so much of our product is going through our market. So that opened up a 20-year slot for another producer at the farmer's market. And we are, keeping up with demand right here on the ranch.
And we had 20 years of relationships. So it was real easy for folks to transition and come to the market. Most of them already were, but then it just became part of their daily habits.
That's great. And then are you also doing online sales? You mentioned? Nope, nothing. Okay.
No online sales, no shipping.
You just selling it out there. Everybody has to come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get customers as far away as West Palm Beach, I think, is our furthest customer, that they actually have someone pick up the product and deliver it to them in West Palm Beach. But we have customers in Texas, Arizona, California, Utah, Nevada, And anyway, they come here to the ranch, pick up their meat. Durango is a great place to visit. So it's an excuse for people to get away and have a little trip and pick up some great product.
Yeah. So, can you both speak a little bit about the evolution that you've seen over the many years you've been ranching? Is there people asking for different breeds? Are there different cuts of meat that people are requesting? What's kind of been the process over the last maybe decade or so?
I think one of the first things that we did when we got involved in the meat business was we went to single muscle cuts, partially because, I mean, the size of the cuts, even though our animals were much smaller at the time, size of the cuts felt like a hurdle. Second thing is with grass finished beef, the challenge is, palatability. Is it tender enough? So what we did was we went to all these single muscle cuts, which eliminated all of that fascia that attaches to muscles. And so when we did that, two things happened. One is we succeeded in making our product more desirable, and the second, from a tenderness perspective. But the second thing we did was we reduced our portion sizes. And we've had a lot of people who only eat James Ranch beef or were former vegans and will only eat, a James Ranch product. And that's because, first off, we're not asking them to eat, 20 ounces of meat. And then the second thing is because of how we handle our animals and how, we meet all of the criteria for a great life for our animals. And so, yeah, it's consistent. We hear that a lot, and it's been good for our business.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the importance of buying local meat from your local ranchers. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Oregon State University's College of Agricultural Sciences and the Food Innovation Center are proud sponsors of Meaningful Marketplace. With a mission to serve all Oregonians, we are committed to giving voice to those whose food and agricultural stories are not always heard. By providing access and opportunity for a more diverse and just food system, because food brings people together.
I just want to talk about the importance of people supporting local ranchers and farmers. So when you guys think about the importance of people coming to you and buying meat from your area, can you tell them what it means to you for people to come support you and why it's important to stay small and sell the meat that you produce, and then that's it?
Well, I think we're a vital piece of our community. We're one of the things to do in Durango is to have a burger at James Ranch. And I've talked about this before with others, but when you see what industrialized ag has done to many communities where, there's nothing to do there, and yet the local communities are drying up as it gets ever bigger and bigger, parcels owned by fewer and fewer people. And if you come to Durango, it's the exact opposite feeling. We have a vibrant local food community, and as a result, it's just intertwined within our community and our culture. And I think that is fantastic. I think the other thing is keeping those dollars flowing locally matter a lot to the community, and it gives the community a sense of resilience.
I think the other thing, and Joe alluded to it a little bit before about the folks who make a choice about eating meat. We, for a long time, gave tours. We've had to stop giving tours, but I think when I would talk to folks and bring them onto the land and walk them through the herd of cattle, they could see that these animals were living a really great life. And I think we started developing, and I think farmers market probably helped with this too, a trust between ourselves and our customers so that they could come to us and ask us any question. I mean, anything. I drew the line at religion and politics, but otherwise anything. It became, I think they found us refreshingly honest, and that is an amazing opportunity to cultivate that relationship. I don't think Big Ag can do that. I mean, clearly they can't. So I would say our local community, I mean, they know our children. they know so much about us because we've been open, and I think that's part of community. So yeah.
Yeah, we really loved what you are all building for the time and place of right now. You know, you have this community space there. You have a safe space for people to gather. You're providing really good organic grass-fed food for the community. You're supporting other community members. It just seemed to be this wonderful space for the community. And that's, why we really wanted to have you on and talk to you and highlight what you're doing, because we think it's really special. So we just wanted to say thank you for creating that for your community in Durango. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, Jenn has this phrase, so I'm just going to jump in and I'll let her finish my sentences here. But Durango is both an oasis and an island. And the beauty of the oasis is all these things like James Ranch and other local farms and ranches and open space and outdoor activities and all of those beautiful things. The island piece of it is we have to work together as a community because we have one processor. We're fortunate. We have a USDA processor that's within 25 miles of this location, which is incredibly fortunate. Temple Grandin designed, all of those things. But that means we have to work with them such that they're financially stable as well. And so it creates this sense of interconnectedness that we have with our hay supplier, the different people we work with, because we're all in this together.
Absolutely. So you had mentioned, I'm going to pick up on a nugget that you had said before, Jenn. You said right now your parents started the ranch, right? And you both have a couple kids. Are they part of the ranch right now? Are there some of the other grandkids, I guess, that are part of the operation there?
Yeah, there are 10 kids in the third generation, and 2 of them are ours, and our children are living on the East Coast at the moment. But we do have nephews that have come back to the ranch, and I think one of the things that Joe and I are facing when it comes to the family dynamic is we were the first ones working with my parents to experience that succession plan, from my parents to us. And now we're getting to a point where we're like, we need succession here too. And so fortunately, our nephew has shown good interest in our business and becoming a partner in that. And so we're sliding right into this next generation of agriculturalists. I think our third generation is kind of divvied up into 2 cubbies. We have 5 that are older and 5 that were younger by significant space. So we've got some that are still in high school and starting to make college plans and things like that. So we don't know the whole story yet, but we're hoping that we're creating a space where anyone, even those who are off ranch now, will feel comfortable saying, I have a great idea and I'd like to come back to the ranch and try it out. And that we would welcome them with open arms and give them everything that we can to help them get started.
Yeah, and in today's world, I mean, the one thing we can't look at this ranch is just an agricultural ranch. I mean, we've already stacked in these other businesses, but that's going to be a piece of our future because we need to not put someone into a position. We need to adjust to that person's desires as well. It goes both ways. So, keeping the tent big enough such that we can welcome people back. And I think the other thing, when we think of our two daughters, both of them have very successful careers and they're heading down partner tracks and different things in their respective areas. But, at least one of them is going to be forced to retire at 60. At 60, she still has oodles of value that she can bring to the James Ranch. So they both stay connected. They love this place, and we'll see how it all unfolds.
I think that's kind of a cool thing about what you've created too, though, is that there's lots of different opportunities. So the children and the grandchildren and the next generations don't necessarily just have to be ranchers or farmers. They could have a great product idea that they sell out of the marketplace, or be social media influencers that that put the ranch on blast or whatever, whatever it is. They can do whatever they want and still be part of it. And I think that's a really magical thing to have created. We work with lots of farmers in my business, and they struggle with having the next generation sometimes take over, because it's like, I just don't want to just farm, and so sometimes it's a little more challenging. So I think it's nice that you've created this, like you said, big tent. So there's lots of different places that the family can fit into. That's a really nice way of doing it.
Thanks.
Well, and I would say the other thing is we talk a lot about quality of life for everybody. And I think that's always a challenge in agriculture. But we know that if our business can't provide us with the quality of life that we desire, it's really hard to get somebody excited about your business and taking it on.
Yeah, that is very true. If your children see you struggle and unhappy, it makes it kind of unappealing to want to take over the business.
Right. Yeah.
Well, anything that you need from your community in Durango, if we have listeners that are listening right now, what would you like them to hear that you need from them?
Well, I think we have pretty much everything we need from our community, which is we get a lot of support, but that ongoing support, that sense of communication and encouragement is always welcome.
I think what's one of the fun things is so many folks come to us and say, whenever we have people coming in from out of town, you are our first stop. We have to bring them out there, and that it's a win-win, because it's so good to hear that our community wants to share us with people that don't know. And it's very satisfying to know that we have worked hard and sacrificed a lot to create something that we all love, everybody loves. So if I were to ask anything, it was just to keep bringing folks and let us, we talk about regenerative agriculture and try to educate and introduce them to the idea of what we're doing. And so every person who comes hopefully will go away with just a little bit of more knowledge than when they got there. And that's very satisfying. And
we've had some incredible people visit us, and we've given tours in the past, and there was one tour I can remember specifically, but there's been several of them, but where we gave a tour and we got an education. And that's truly special when you can have that kind of interaction with your customers.
You both are doing amazing work, Joe and Jen. You are passionate. You are talented. Actually, I was one last thing. I know Sarah's about to wrap us up, but I saw, Jen, that you have written a book. And so I don't know if you want to put a little plug in for that. You are talented in many ways. So I read a quick synopsis, but I'd love to hear the background, where that came from, and how that's going for you.
So we decided last year, after many, many years, that we were going to self-publish. I write historical adventure stories about the American West, and my series is called the Zephyr series. I'm releasing 2 books at the same time because one is his story and one is her story. And they're starting off in Gold Rush 1849, and it's all about getting to California. And one goes around Cape Horn and the other one goes across country, and they have many, many adventures.
Can people pre-order it or order your book?
We're still in cover design, still in proofreading, really pulling it together. We just hired a map maker because both of these stories are journeys. And so he's working on the maps and it's all very happening. But there'll definitely be something on the website when the time comes. There'll probably be an Instagram blast.
Early summer.
But it's looking June-ish maybe, but I haven't got a date yet.
They'll be on Amazon.
Perfect. Well, we'll watch for it, and once we see that it's up, we'll make sure to repost it so that our listeners can find the link to your book too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Of course. Well, Jenn and Joe, it was lovely to chat with you today. We loved hearing about the ranch and the farm and all the things you're doing. And like we said, thank you for building a wonderful community where you are, and we appreciate you. And it was lovely to chat with you today.
Thanks. So good to meet you both, and we appreciate all your work.
Thank you for listening and tuning in to the show today. Before you go, show some love for our podcast by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram or YouTube at Meaningful Marketplace Podcast. You can call or text Sarah and I with questions at 503-395-8858. And we couldn't do this without our fantastic team at Joy of Creation Production House. Thank you to Dave, our production coordinator, and Haley, our audio engineer. We will be back next week, everybody. Thanks for joining. Bye.